Okay, guys, this is exam 1, problem number 9. We're going to rewrite each of these statements as a conjunction of two if-then statements. And the first one is this integer is even if and only if it is not odd. So the first thing that we want to identify is what kind of statement this is. Well, this is P if and only if Q, right? Where P and Q are predicates. So what is this equivalent to? Well, this is logically equivalent to if P then Q and if Q then P. Oops. Right. So this is what they mean by a conjunction of two if then. Conjunction is the and it's two if then statements. Okay. So here's what I'm going to recommend you do. What I want to do is just get into writing it, just get the problem done. But I want to slow myself down so I know that I don't make any mistakes. Once I know this statement, if I can easily identify P and Q, then I can't possibly get the question wrong. And I'll show you what, the answer sort of writes itself. So I'm going to write the predicates out before I start on the problem. I'm going to say P is equal to the integer is even. And Q is the integer is not odd. Right? So again, it would make sense I can now plug this in. The integer is even, that's P. If and only if is that symbol. The integer is not odd. So that's what the statement is. Now I'm going to write my conjunction. So it's if P then Q, so I'll just write that. If the integer is even, then the integer is not odd. That's our first one, right? And now it's the opposite, if Q, then P. So if the integer is not odd, then the integer is even. And before you move on to the next question or the next part, just sort of take a glance at whatever you've written down and make sure it makes sense to you, right? So we know that integers, they're parity with even and odd. They're either even or they're odd, right? So if the integer is even, 2, 4, 6, 8, then the integer is not odd. Well, that makes sense. It's not 3, it's not 5, it's not 7, so on. And if the integer is not odd, well, if it's not odd, what does that mean? Well, that means then the integer is even. So that sounds like that works for me. Let's move on to B. Again, I'm going to use the same format. It's a different statement. Bruce will choose to be a math major if and only if he passes calculus. As I did before, I'm going to write my predicates. P is Bruce will choose to be a math major. And Q is equal to Bruce passes calculus. And so now let's write our conjunction of two if-then statements. We'll start with if P then Q. If P is this one, so if Bruce will choose to be a math major, Then Q, right? And Q is Bruce. What was it? Then Bruce passes calculus. Don't forget the and, right? That is the middle part here. Now it's the opposite order. If Q, if Bruce passes calculus, then P, Bruce will choose to be a math major. And that's it. We're done.